That means it will be feeding power to a local load. So, but driven by a prime mover, which we know could be an engine or a turbine, which will maintain its speed N, and then we can control the field current, and which will generate the voltage Vt, and it will supply a current I to the load. Now our interest is what will be the effect of various system parameters on its performance. Now we are aware that the possibilities of change are the load, and which in turn will affect the other parameters. So typically we have discussed earlier that if the load current I changes, the Vt would generally drop because of the drop in the internal impedance at constant speed, because we had to maintain the speed constant to maintain the frequency. Now this will be depending upon the power factor. Supposing this may be power factor equal to unity. If it is lagging power factor, there will be more drop. Let us say power factor is equal to 0.8. And if it is a leading power factor, there will be a rise in the voltage at this. So this is a well-known phenomena that the voltage at the load will drop with the current drawn by the load, and current drawn by the load depends upon the customers. And here it is all standalone, it is not connected to any grid. This is standard load. Now in order to maintain the voltage, we can change the field current, and here we use what is known as an automatic voltage regulator, AVR, that is automatic voltage regulator. So most of the suppliers of the standalone systems will have a regulator inbuilt to maintain the voltage constant within the prescribed limit of, say, at most maybe plus or minus 5%. So acceptable voltage change with load is plus or minus 5%. That has to be achieved by the voltage regulator. What does the voltage regulator do? It will alter the field current to maintain the necessary voltage. So we should know another characteristic is how much the field current has to be altered or changed to maintain the field current constant. So generally this is called also what is known as a compounding curve, and this is the load characteristics. What we have done earlier is the load characteristics, that is the variation of terminal voltage with the load current. Now the other variation that we will be interested is what will be the variation of field current with load current to maintain Vt equal to constant. So this is often called excitation characteristics or compounding curve. Now we know at no load, when the load current is 0, it will require a minimum field current. But as the load increases, the voltage comes down, so you may have to increase the field current. So it will have to go up, say from no load to, let us say, 1 per unit load to maintain Vt at 1 per unit. Now this may be at power factor equal to, let us say, unity. If it is lagging power factor, the drop is going to be more, and we know that there will be further increase in the field current at power factor lagging, let us say 0.8 lag. Now, if it is a leading power factor, then there may be the drop in voltage either may be less or there could even be a slight increase in voltage. Therefore, it is possible that the required the characteristics here of the field current variation may be something like this. So, that is power factor is equal to, let us say, 0.8 lead. Generally, power factor is expected to be in that range of 0.8 to 1. Lower than that is not desirable. So, we have seen these are the characteristics of a standalone generator, the load character excitation characteristics. But the majority of the generator we see in practice in a large power system are not standalone, they always feed to the grid. There are several synchronous machines connected to the grid in different power stations, and large number of power stations may be interconnected through the grid network and also feeding power. Therefore, we next look at the what are the important characteristics of a grid connected machine, that is characteristic of grid connected synchronous generators. So, here the system looks different, that is there is a prime mover, there is the synchronous machine, and there of course its own impedances and feeding to the grid. So, this is the grid or the bus or whatever you may call. So, here the Vt is generally constant and frequency is also constant, and we also call it as an infinite bus. And each generator will have independent field current source, which again can be connected through a voltage regulator or AVR. Now, we are concerned with what will be we know that the voltage is constant here, and this will be the current that is fed from the machine to the grid, and it will feed the power, active power as well as reactive power to the grid. Okay. And in order to understand this, we can look at the well-known phasor diagram at zero resistance and an equivalent circuit, which will have a no load voltage of EF due to the field alone, a reactance XS, and the terminal voltage which is maintained constant. That means if the Vt is the phasor of the voltage at the bus, and this is the current Ia which is fed, this is the current, then what we will see is there is an EF which is the voltage across the field or no load voltage. So, that will be more, and we have this relation Vt plus IXS is EF, and we can represent each of these in a different form like this. That means the Vt can be written as Vt plus J0 because it is in the real axis, and Ia can be written as Ix minus Jiy because it is lagging, right. That is, my Ia is Ix minus Jiy. Then EF would be this voltage will be Ex plus Jey. So, we have written EF equal to Ex plus Jey, and the well known equation is that EF is equal to Vt plus J into Ia into Xs, because the synchronous reactance. Okay. Now, as a next step, we would see that we can write this equation, that is EF equal to Vx plus Jixs as EF is EX plus JEY, VT is VT plus J0, and IA is IX minus JIY into XS. So if you equate real and imaginary real and imaginary terms on the right hand side and left hand side, so here it has, we take EX, real part here is VT, and real part here is IY into, because this is minus into plus, minus J square is 1, so we have IY into XS. And similarly EY is IX into, that is EY is the imaginary part here, imaginary part is nothing but IY into XS, and which is in this case is minus. Of course we have taken here in this form, okay. So this will be EY, which is this, which is IX into XS, sorry, IX into XS. So having known this, we can find out what is the active power. So how much power is now, we are interested to know how much power from the mains, how much power is fed to the grid. After all, the power comes from the prime mover and goes to the grid, and what is the value of power? That is Vt into I into cos phi. So the active power that is fed to the grid will be 3 times, because it is a 3-phase system, 3 times Vt into Ix, because Ix is the, so Vt is this voltage and Ix is the in phase value of the current. Therefore we can write it as 3 times Vt into Ix. And now we already know what is the value of Ix. Ix value we can see from the earlier derivations. Ix is nothing but Ey divided by Xs. So we can write 3 into Vt into Ey divided by Xs, because Ix is this, and then the power will be 3 into Vt. What is Ey? Let us see what the Ey is this component, which is Ef into sine delta, where delta is the angle between Ef and Vt. So we can write Ey is Ef into sine delta. So we can write 3 into Vt into Ef sine delta by Xs. So this is the value of power that will be developed, which is a well known expression, 3 into Vt Ef sine delta by Xs. And similarly, we can also look at the reactive power that is at the grid. 3 into Vt into Iy. See, we have seen that the power, okay, so the power will be 3 into Vt into Iy, that is the reactive power, Q. P is, see in this case, P is proportional to Vt into Ix and Q is Vt into Iy, because that is the quadrature component. So 3 Vt into Iy, that is we know with Vt, and we can derive what is Iy from this relation. That is, we have the expression for Iy in the earlier derivations like this. Okay, here. So we know Iy will be from here. If I say Iy will be Ex minus Vt divided by Xs. Okay. So I can have this relation, substitute here 3 into Vt Ex minus Vt by Xs. So that will be Ex is Ef cos delta, that is in phase component of this, as here, see Ex is Ef cos delta, that is this component, and Ey is Ef sin delta, right? And we substitute this here, and this will be minus 3 Vt square Xs. So we now have a general expression for active power that is like this, and the reactive power which is like this. Q is, this is the reactive power component. Now these two relations will be helpful in understanding the characteristics of a machine that is fed to the grid. Okay. Now what are the effects of this? We have seen how much the power is affected. What are the parameters power is affected? One thing is, what will happen if I maintain the power constant and vary the field current? So this is the step one. So this is one of the characteristics. That is, when you maintain the power constant and you vary the field current, the phasor diagram is where Vt is constant, and then, okay, we'll rewrite this again. This is your Vt, and this is the current, armature current or load current, and then this is the Ixs, and this is Ef. Now when I say power is constant, we have observed that the Ef sin delta is constant. So P constant, that is Ef sin delta is constant, that is in phase component is constant. So if I increase the field current, Ef will increase, but Ef sin delta will remain the same. So the field, it may go to a new value, let us say Ef1. So earlier it was If, and I changed to If1 field current, and Ef goes to Ef1, and you will notice then this will be I goes to I1 into Xs. So the I which changes to I1, that means it will, if your field current is increased, the current increases, and you will find that we get a new value of I, let us say I1, but the in phase component remains the same because power is constant. So Ix is constant, but Iy varies. That means the quadrature component of the current will change. Let us say here it was Iy, now this will go to Iy1. So you will see that the quadrature component of the current or the reactive component of current will go to Iy1. If goes to If1, I goes to I1, Iy goes to I11, but Ix is same. It doesn't change. And the Ex will change, but Ey is same. So you will observe that the in phase component of current will be same, and the Ef sin delta will be same, or Ey will be same, but Ex changes. That means by controlling the field current, we can control the quadrature component of current, which means we can control Q. So the summary of this argument is that we can control Q. So If control causes the Q control. Now that means if there is a more reactive power demand lagging, so you have to increase the field current. So through this process you can control the VAR demand variation and VAR control. So this is called also VAR control, where you use this method to control the reactive power to the grid. So you will see in this one we have the Q control through If. Now how do we control? Supposing we maintain If constant but vary P. So that is the next stage. Next stage is we maintain the field current constant but P is varied. How do we vary P? We vary P through the turbine in most of the cases by increasing the fuel input or the water input to the turbine. We increase the power. So the power is changed, then what will happen? I am not changing the field current. So that also can be explained through the same phasor diagram. We know V and Ix and Ef, and we are saying that the power changes but field current is not changed. So the field current is not changed means Ef remains same. So Ef remains same means if the power changes there will be a swing like this. It will be like a arc with center here with a radius Ef. So it will go to a new value, let us say Ef1. That means the Ef vector goes to Ef1 and then obviously there is an Ix vector here and I will have another value. Earlier I was somewhere here and now I may go somewhere here. In this manner. So let us say I1. Now what will happen is earlier it was delta, the load angle. Now it will become delta 1. That means the power angle changes from delta to delta 1. So this can be explained through the well-known power angle characteristics. So power angle characteristics is power versus delta, If equal to constant. So that is easy to see the power angle characteristics from this curve, from this equation. P is equal to 3 VTEF sin delta by XS. And since Vt is constant, Ef is constant, so this can be written as some constant into sin delta by Xs. So this power versus delta will be a sine curve, and we have this well-known power angle characteristics, power versus delta, like this. And this peak value is K, which in this case is 3 times Vt Ef by Xs. And that will occur when delta is 90 degrees. Okay. Now, what we are trying is, earlier there was P, it was operating at say 1 point P and at one value of delta. Now I increase P to P1, delta goes to delta 1, as we have seen here. So delta which was here, it goes to delta 1, okay. And when this increases, what other changes we have? We have the field current is same when delta increases, and then the delta increases means because the power fed from the prime mover has momentarily has been increased, the rotor momentarily advances to a new value. That means this is basically the angle between Vt and Ef, or the angle between the field MMF and the resultant MMF. So field advances to delta 1. Now let us now continue this process, increase P to another value, let us say P2, then it will go to delta 2. How far I can go? I can go up to P max. That means from the prime mover, I can feed power up to the limiting value of Pmax decided by this value. That is, for the same voltage Vt and Xs, it is decided by Ef. Now the field current decides Pmax. Now what happens if I increase it further? That means the prime mover power is increased beyond Pmax. It has already gone up to 90 degrees. The angle between, that is the rotor has advanced up to 90 degrees with reference to this. If you go further, then what will happen? There is the developed power, opposing developed power is less than what we are putting in from the prime mover. When the opposing power is less than this, there is a differential of this which will become an accelerating power. That means the rotor will now start accelerating, and accelerating in such a way that it does overspeeding and it will go beyond synchronous speed, so it loses synchronism. When it loses synchronism, it is no longer in a position to operate as a machine. As we know, synchronous machine can always operate only at synchronous speed. Therefore, we have this very unusual situation after 90 degrees. So after 90 degrees, this whole region what we see, that is 90 to 180, this is not a stable, it cannot operate, and we call it as an unstable region of operation of a generator. And 0 to 90 degrees, what we see here, that is here, this is called the stable region. So to sum up, the power angle characteristics is important, and for the performance of the machine, and for delta from 0 to 90 degrees we call it as a stable region, and from 90 to 180 degrees this will be unstable region. So we have these two very clear-cut situations. Okay, next you can say what is the effect of field current? We have maintained the field current constant, and supposing I alter the field current, then what will be the characteristics? We have seen that the characteristics P delta, which is for a given field current, if I decrease the field current, it will have another curve like this. So this may be for EF, and this may be for another, let us say EF1, which is less than EF. Obviously, for the same power P, it will have two different values. Let us say this is delta and this is delta 1. That means for the same power, if you decrease the field current, delta will increase, because we have to maintain the EF sin delta constant, right? And again the Pmax will change. This is Pmax 1, this is Pmax. So Pmax will decrease if you decrease the field current. Okay. So in reality, the maximum power at stable condition would change, and the change of field current will change delta at any constant power, and this will be the variations. Next, what is the limiting value you can have? And the limiting values are decided by the allowable currents in both armature and field windings. So this will be mostly a capacity or capability of a machine. Capability of a machine would be what limits the field current, that is the highest field current you can have and highest armature current you can have, and that will again be decided by the power factor of the load. So you can have a maximum power limited by the maximum EF or IF and the maximum delta. Okay. So we have seen that by controlling the turbine power, you can control the active power to the mains, and by controlling the field current, you can control the reactive power to the mains. So that means we can have P control through prime mover and Q control through the field. and obviously this field will have nothing to do with the active power. It will only be concerned with the reactive power fed to the grid. Okay. Right. Now this is, so we have seen the standalone characteristics, excitation characteristics, power angle characteristics, and also effect of active power and reactive power that is fed to the grid. So we can sum up with the following statements that the prime mover controls the active power and the field system controls the reactive power, and if the grid has to supply more lagging VAR, then the field current has to be adjusted. Okay. Now, so the total summary we can say from this discussion for the grid connected system is P control is through prime mover and Q control is through field. Both are required in an actual power system. Okay, now let us look at the characteristics of a motor, synchronous motor. So, unlike in a synchronous generator where the prime mover is supplying power to the motor to be converted to electricity and fed to the grid, prime mover feeds power to the generator to be fed to the grid. In this case, the machine is connected to the grid and then it is supplying to a load, mechanical load. This is the thing. So power flow here is from this direction and the Q is also from this direction. So the motor draws active and reactive power from the grid and then supplies power to the load. There is no question of supplying reactive power to the mechanical load. Yeah. And of course there is a field current which is altered, which can be controlled. So here also we can explain its characteristics, the motor characteristics, through the phasor diagram like this. Again we have the voltage which is fixed and it will draw a current I. But in this case the EF will be Vt minus I into Xs, neglecting R. We are assuming for simplicity resistance is small. So if this is I, you will notice that the drop in the reactance can be written like this. That is minus Ix and your EF will be somewhere here and this will be delta. And in this case also we can prove, as we have done earlier, that power will be 3 times Vt EF sin delta by Xs. Now here you will notice the delta is in a different direction. So you can say compared to generator, delta is negative. In a generator, delta was ahead somewhere here. That means the field was ahead and leading the Vt. The voltage due to the field was leading Vt, a no load voltage. Here the no load voltage is lagging Vt. So here accordingly the field retards, it goes back as a motor. Okay. So we assume that we are all connected the machine to the grid and then we are operating in the motoring mode. Okay. Now let us understand what will happen if there is again the change in load or the change in field current. Okay. Now if you change the load, change of power, that is load power. So again we can say in the motoring mode, this will have this curve with delta. We must understand this delta is in the opposite direction compared to that of the generator. This is P. Now this is the situation where it is neither motoring or generating. That is, here delta is 0. Delta is 0 means both the voltage due to the field and the resultant voltage are aligned. Okay. Now as soon as you load the machine, let us say you have some power P, and then the rotor will momentarily retard and adjust to a value of delta. It is like two fields are there, they are going together, but suddenly on load the field will just retard and that will just go back, and to create an angle delta, to create that P, because P has to be sine delta. P is proportional to sine delta. Again we will say, if I increase P to let us say P1, again it will take a value of delta 1. Let us say P2, it will follow, it will take a value of delta 2. That means slowly it will go on retarding. So you can, the machine connected to the grid will operate as motor at different points like this. And which is the maximum. So it can at most go to, you can load it up to this value of P max, in which case the maximum angle is 90 degrees here. So we can go up to 90 degrees of delta. What will happen beyond that? If the motor is loaded beyond 90 degrees, as we have seen here, so if the load here is increased, then what will happen? The power, opposing power will not be same as what we are taking to take. So if you go beyond that, the developed power will be reduced. So opposing power will reduce and you are applying more power on the shaft, with the result it will start further decelerating. Means there is a retarding torque, net retarding torque, which will try to reduce the speed, and then it will drive it. Since that is an unstable situation, it will pull it out of synchronism and it will no longer operate as a synchronous machine. So this zone, which is 90 degrees and beyond up to 180, this zone is therefore an unstable zone. So we have this variation. Okay. So from this point it goes on momentarily retarding up to 90 degrees, but beyond which it can no longer do so. So we have this zone as stable zone, and this is the unstable zone as it is mentioned here. So we have, when will it be stable zone? So we have, for angle 90 degrees delta, we have a stable operation as a synchronous motor, and for 90 degrees to 180 degrees this will be unstable. Okay. So now let us look at the variation of field current. So far it is the power only. So effect of field current. Next. So now here we are saying P equal to constant, but IF is varied. This is the situation. Again, let us refer to this. If we refer to the phasor diagram again, we will have, we can again redraw this. So we have Vt, then Ix, and this is Ef. Since P is constant, sin delta, Ef sin delta is constant, or Ey is constant. That means this vertical distance of this is constant, means that you will have, if I change Ef, if I increase Ef, it will go to a new value, but Ey is same, so it will be in this is the locus of Ef. And what will be the locus of I? Because the active power is constant, so the I has to vary. This is I cos Ix is constant. That means Ey is constant, this one, and Ix is constant, that is this one. So it will trace this path, that is the locus of I. You have the locus of I like this and locus of Ef like this. Okay. So that means Ef changes from Ef to Ef1, and delta changes also from delta to delta 1. So you will see that as the power is constant, so we will see power is constant, delta changes to delta 1, Ef changes to Ef1, I changes to I1, and Ix is constant, only Iy changes to Iy1, and Ey is constant, and Ex changes to Ex1, and Vt is constant. So you will see some change, some don't change. So Ex changes, Ey doesn't change, and Ix is same. So these are the changes you find when you vary If to, let us say, If1. That is, the field current is changed. This is what will happen. Okay. Now we will get a very interesting variation from this curve. I changes, if you change this, so if this is I, we know it has changed to I1 like this, and it can go, I will have a variation in this axis, and if I plot I, the armature current, versus the field current, then what changes will have? That means when it is very much lagging, it can have very high value, and then if you start increasing the field current, then it magnitude goes on decreasing. That means this will be highly lagging, and if you increase the field current, it will become more and more leading. So it will follow a pattern like this. So it will follow, it will go down. Now it will go down to reach a minimum value of I. That means in phase, that is when the power factor is unity, this is the minimum value. So you will have a minimum value, okay, when power factor is unity. And then if you increase further, it will start leading. The current will start leading, and it will follow this path. Okay, this is lagging. This is unity power factor. This is leading. So you have as a typical path at constant power, variation of field current with the armature current like this. Now what is the shape of this curve? And you will observe the shape of this curve looks like a V, and this is called V curve of synchronous motor. And when is the minimum current? Minimum current is when it is a unity power factor. Supposing we do it at different power constant. So I say I have a reduced power maybe. So you will follow some path like this, reduced power, and it may go a very low power also, right? So this may be P1, P2, this may be P. That means P2 less than P1 less than P. So you will say it can even be almost on no load, where the minimum current drawn will be just to take care of losses. And you will observe that up to this value it is lagging. That means at low IF, so we will observe one very important thing is, at low IF the current drawn is lagging. Means my motor looks like more of an inductor, okay. So it is typically RL load, right. When it is lagging, it is an RL load, that is more inductor. And at unity power factor, that is middle value, let us say, that is unity power factor, it looks like a resistor. That means the grid looks the motor like a resistor at unity power factor when you have increased the field current to certain value. At low values of field current, it will look like an inductor. Now at high value of field current, this is leading, and the synchronous motor looks like a capacitor. Now this is interesting. That means the same machine is a variable impedance system just by changing the field current. Now this will be very useful application if the power system has lot of lagging loads connected with the customers. To improve the power factor, you can have parallel, you can connect a synchronous machine or a synchronous motor and go on increasing the field current so that it works like a capacitor, so the overall power factor is improved. And this system is called a, when it is operated at high field current, this is called a synchronous condenser. That means you can use it as a condenser, but it is not a static condenser as a capacitor. It is a synchronous machine operated as a condenser to improve the power factor. And this is the curves that will explain this lagging, unity, leading under this. So this is an important phenomenon that is used in power systems to overall improvement of the power factor. And if you plot what will be the power factor, so power factor will be power factor angle, initially it will be lagging unity, this will be unity power factor, and that will be a lagging power factor. And so you can always plot power factor also versus the field current, and power factor may be something like this. This is the power factor. This will be highest value is 1.0. So this is inverted V curve. This is the power factor versus field current. So this is lag, that is less than 1. This is lead, that also will be less than 1. So this is inverted V curve, and this is the V curve. V curve is the current versus field current. This is the power factor versus field current. So today, to summarize, we have studied all the major characteristics of synchronous machines when they are loaded. One is standalone mode synchronous generator. We have seen the voltage goes down, so we need to have AVR, and there again we can have the power control and the reactive power control. Second, we say connected to the grid, we can again have power control through turbine, reactive power control through the field current. Next, we have studied as a motoring operation, where again the power change will change the power angle, and the reactive power change to the field current is possible. And the same motor under field control can be used as a variable impedance and terminating in the concept of a synchronous condenser. And all these you will observe characteristics we are done with simplification, that it is a cylindrical rotor machine, the resistance is neglected. Just by using the simple phasor diagram, we are able to get these characteristics, and the load characteristics and power and characteristics are very critical to the overall performance of a synchronous machine. So we'll stop at this juncture.